All right, you guys. So I am hoping that this is recording. So this is my first video to this channel. So before you watch this video or listen to my opinions, I would highly recommend that you first read the little blurb that I put at the beginning of the video. And I would also recommend that you read the about section of the video. Please read that so that way you guys understand where I'm coming from and why I have the opinions that I have. So basically, about a week ago, Miss Jaclyn Hill posted a video talking about, it's called Opening Up About My Biggest Struggle, and then she says like she has a problem with alcohol, and it basically just gets into more about her problems and her issues with alcohol and why she stopped talking about it after mentioning it kind of a little bit in one video a while back. So I'm just going to basically go through. I am going to clip to like I'm not going to show you everything. So if I don't have something to say about something, I'm just going to move to something I do have something to say about. But for the most part, I'm just going to genuinely tell you what I think about her problems and issues and everything. So let's just get into it and hope this damn thing is recording.
One major change that I have made, and I'm going to get super vulnerable with you guys because this is something that I really didn't talk about and touch much on all my other videos, and there's a reason for it, so let me jump to that quickly. I talked about having a dependency on alcohol maybe like a year and a half ago. I discussed it and how after I went through all my lipstick situation, and had to like refund everybody and all that, the hairy lipsticks, whatever, I became very dependent on alcohol, and I was very open and honest about that. And because of my openness and my honesty, I got so much feedback, and a lot of it was very damaging and just people being very ignorant to alcohol abuse, and people telling me that, oh, if she was really an alcoholic she would have gone to rehab. Well, I never was an alcoholic. That's the thing.
All right, so this is where I really have a problem with her outlook and her views and things. First of all, it is ignorant to be fucking Jaclyn Hill, okay? And to post about something as serious as addiction and alcoholism and think that nobody is going to comment or say something negative. First, let me just preface, I was one of the one of the many people that bought her lipsticks when they first launched before she came back and on the market or whatever. I don't know how you want to explain it, and I never had a bad experience. So it's not like I'm shaming Jaclyn Hill because I fucking hate her lipsticks and I hate her makeup. I actually love the majority of her makeup and the majority of her cosmetics, and I own a lot of Jaclyn cosmetics. I will say that. So I'm not like shaming her because of it. In fact, I never even had a bad experience with the lipsticks the first time. So, and I love them. Like, I was shocked that people were complaining because I never had a bad experience. So, I guess my point is just, I'm not doing this to, like, I'm not shitting on her because I'm like, oh, like, you suck, your cosmetics are bad. Like, I'm not doing that. But anyway, back to the point. Here she says, just because I was abusing alcohol doesn't make me an alcoholic and doesn't mean that I have to go to rehab. And the thing is, that doesn't make sense because when you're abusing alcohol, like she says this thing, she says I have a problem with alcohol. She says I'm using alcohol to deal with these negative things in my life, which is, by the way, a really good hint that you're an alcoholic because most people drink socially. They don't drink to like drain their problems and their issues and to deal with like a big thing like this failed launch of her lipsticks. But the main problem is that, and this is something that's recent. So recently the DSM was updated. I don't know if it's called, I think it's the DSM-5 now. The DSM, which is like a diagnostic handbook basically, recently was updated to basically say that alcohol abuse is alcoholism, meaning it's the same. You're still like, it's all the same. Like, you can't say, well, I abuse alcohol, but I'm not an alcoholic and I don't have a problem. Like, they're basically the same thing. And if I can, like, find a better way to explain it, I'll, like, put something up so you guys can kind of understand me better. But it's basically the same thing. There's no, like, essentially, alcohol abuse is a symptom of alcoholism. Like, you don't have to, like, it's just the idea that those are two separate things, that you can abuse it and not be an alcoholic, is just not what we know today.
I never said I was an addict. So I kind of just shut it up. I shut the hell up, and I didn't talk about it again because.
So again, she says, I'm not an addict, and this is kind of a theme throughout the whole video. And the main issue with saying you're not an addict is that, yes, maybe you don't have to, you're not physically addicted, but you are an addict, right? If you want to do something every time some bad things happen, like, that's an addict behavior. So I don't know. And I also think she's kind of like, it's a very self-righteous thing to say that, oh, I'm not an addict. I'm not as shitty as you. I'm not, I don't have addiction problems. Like, well, then what do you have? Like, that doesn't make sense.
I didn't want to deal with that, and it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, so I don't deal with it. But I'm ready to talk about it again and bring it back to the surface.
So to review, it's a touchy subject for a reason. And so knowing that it's a touchy subject, you should not bring it up if you don't want to hear the truth and you don't want to understand it.
Here's the deal. Am I an addict? No. Am I an alcoholic? I could be. I definitely am not at the point where, like, I'm needing rehab. You know what I'm saying? But.
Okay. So then here she says, I'm not an addict. Again, like, really obsessed with claiming she's not an addict. Like, as though she's better than everyone else because she's not an addict, when she's obviously an addict because she does something all the time. I mean, if you're drinking every day to deal with whatever your problems are, which she mentions in the later in the video, you're a fucking addict. And then she says, I don't think I need to go to rehab because I haven't hit rock bottom, which is false. You don't have to hit rock bottom to go to rehab. I did not hit rock bottom to go to rehab. You don't have to hit rock bottom. And in fact, saying I have to get to my worst, lowest point to go to rehab is ridiculous, because basically she's saying, oh, I have to get to a point where I'm physically dependent on alcohol and living under a bridge to care. Like, why do you want your life to get worse before it gets better? I really, really, really have a problem with her being like, I don't need to go to rehab. I'm fine. Like, this girl is not fine.
Use alcohol to cope with anxiety. My doctor tells me that, I use it as self-medication, the same way I would.
So, again, if you're using something to self-medicate, you are an alcoholic. Like, that's the definition of alcoholism. Like, I don't even understand how she's denying this, because it's like, I would get it if she's like, oh, I just get drunk at, like, parties with my friends, but I'm not, like, an alcoholic. I don't do it all the time. Like, I don't do it to deal with my problems. I don't do it alone or whatever. Like, I would get that if she was like, okay, like, I'm, I don't think I need help. I don't think I'm an alcoholic. But, like, to be like, I use alcohol to cope with my problems, but then to be like, I'm not an alcoholic and I'm fine, I don't need to go to rehab and I don't need help, is like, you're denying yourself help, and you're never going to get help by making it worse. By saying you're not going to get help and you're not going to do anything, you're literally just going to get worse before you get better.
Pills, I use alcohol instead.
And again, this is another thing, and this like really, really, really angers me. So if you want to, like, really make me mad, which you're not going to be able to because the comments are disabled, say this to me, okay? you're not better than somebody because you chose alcohol over pills. It's like, oh, I don't take pills. I'm not like the pill popping people. Like, you don't get to be better, okay? Because you're doing the same thing. You're addicted to a drug to help you with something. Like, you're not like just so like that really really angers me, and I really don't appreciate when people sit there and go, I am not a pill popping addict, I'm better than you. Like, no, 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 no. I really 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 hate that, and I will do lots of videos in the future about opioid addiction and my experience with that. But I really don't appreciate when people shame you for that, because it's an addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. So don't judge me.
It has been getting so much better. I have been able to cut back on alcohol, which has been amazing because
so then she's like, oh yeah, I've been able to cut back on alcohol and whatever. And again, anybody who knows, like, who's actually gotten help and gotten therapy and gone to a therapist who actually specializes in alcoholism and understands it, you don't cut back on your drinking. Like, you don't. And for the people that have successfully cut back on their drinking, usually what happens is they cut back for a while, they're fine, they're cool, and then another lipstick launch happens. Another bad thing happens that doesn't go well. Your dad dies, or your mom dies, or something happens that triggers you to be upset. And then all of a sudden, you're back to where you started because you're not getting rid of the problem, right? You're not drinking. You're just waiting for another bad thing to happen.
Certain point when I was dealing with the lipstick, basically all day, every day. And now it's like
okay. So she's like, I drink all day, every day. I drink all the time. I'm basically a fucking drunk, but I'm not an alcoholic, and I don't have a problem, and I don't have to go to rehab. Like, what? I literally still don't get this. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you're not even like a social drinker who just gets really drunk and wasted once in a while. Like, even if it was like every weekend, like, you're not even that. You just get drunk and wasted every day all the time, and you think this is normal just because you're a celebrity and you can get away with it. Like, it's so... I don't even understand how that's like a concept to somebody. Like, that just shows she's in denial and she's still living in her alcohol-induced fog, because I honestly don't understand how someone can look at that and be like, I'm not an alcoholic, I don't have a problem.
Here and there when I'm super anxious, it's like, okay, gotta have a drink, you know, gotta get some alcohol in my system to like just take the edge off, sort of thing, you know. And I just realized I'm done with that situation. It's so bad for me mentally, physically, for inflammation, for everything. And
she does say that she drank alcohol to like reduce her anxiety and kind of do that. And I did want to say that I was very similar to her in my experiences and my alcoholism and, you know, whatever. I was very similar. I was, you know, I definitely, you know, when I drank heavily, it was anxiety related, whether it was like to go to bed or to get through a presentation or whatever. That's what it was related to. So I can empathize with her. I understand that, right? I can feel what she's feeling and understand that. But at the same time, I don't agree with the way that she's dealing with it, right? Like, I actually understood that situation and coped with it and dealt with it. And she's just like, I'm going to hope that I can quit drinking and that another lipstick launch won't happen again. And that's just not acceptable, because it is going to happen again and she's going to go right back to where she was.
I don't want that to be my life anymore. So the past week, I've been on a journey of really knocking that out, like learning to cope with anxiety on my own without turning to anything, you know? And
I think attempting to not drink and also just somehow magically think your anxiety is going to go away because, you know, nothing bad has recently happened in your life is just not a good way to think about it. You really need to go to a psychologist, to a doctor, to someone who can prescribe you medication for your anxiety, like Zoloft, not something that's addictive like Xanax. I'm definitely not recommending doing that. But definitely go to someone who can actually give you medication, because if you don't do that, it's like you're gonna go right back to drinking, because there's something wrong with your brain chemically, and nothing's going to get rid of that no matter how hard you try. And actually, a recent other YouTuber that I was watching lately, Brittany Vasseur, she had actually talked about her anxiety and how she finally got on Zoloft and how it's been helping her. And so I might link that video below just to show you guys, like, hoping that it's going to go away magically is not a good method of thought.
Some people, it's prescription drugs. Other people, it's just drugs. For some people, it's alcohol, whatever it may be. People have their vices. And I know for me, at one point, my vice was coloring. Like, just adult coloring books was just helping me so much. And that's how I was coping. And I need to find things like that again, whether it be working out or going on walks or whatever it is. And the past week, one of the things that Jordan and I have been doing is trying new restaurants. And that's just like one of those things, it gets me out of the house. If I start to feel anxious, I'm like, you know what, you're fine. What happens if you like fall over right now, pass out and die? Well, guess what? That's just what's gonna happen. That's what's in the cards for you. You can't change it. Moving on, you know, and just keeping myself busy is really my main focus right now. So that's really what I'm doing. If you are with somebody, you know, maybe your significant other or your child, whoever it is, you know, a cousin, a friend, deals with really bad anxiety, whether it's just like all mental or physical, whatever it is, I want to encourage you guys just to love them through it, like love them at their lowest, because I'm telling you, it's the most empowering thing that you can do. It's just to tell them, I love you right now, who you are. Yes, you have anxiety, but anxiety is not you. And that's something that I've really been focusing on, is not like taking ownership over it, because it's not mine. Tons of people, millions and millions of people experience anxiety. It's not mine. It's something that we share. I don't want to take ownership over it because I don't want it and I don't agree with it. And having Jordan love me at my lowest really gave me so much strength to be like, all right, I'm better than this shit. Like, I can kick this, you know? It just gave me confidence. So that's just a little piece of advice I give to those who...
Okay, so I am a little confused by this, because she's like, on one hand, she's like, oh, I have my boyfriend, you know, I can kick this, I can deal with this on my own. But I'm like, when the lipstick thing happened, I'm pretty sure she was with her boyfriend then. So, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Because it's like, when that happened, she was with her boyfriend and she was drinking heavily and she wasn't okay. So the idea that, like, because she has a boyfriend, that this is gonna, like, make her anxiety go away or like help her out, or like, it literally doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't
know what to do for the people around them that they love who deal with it. I know I am rambling so much. This is like gonna be the entire video. Also, I'm not trying to look like a naughty nurse right now, or maybe like a naughty like biker with my glasses, but I can see really well far away. Up close, like looking at the camera right now, it's getting fuzzier as I'm getting older. So these glasses help me so much. Okay, you guys, it is a brand new week. I'm gonna take you along with me. Okay, let's hang out. Deal with being anxious and not gonna have a drink even when I want one. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm only gonna let myself have a drink when it's like, you know what? Life is good. Let's have a drink. Let's celebrate. I'm no longer gonna use it to cope with the way I'm feeling. I'm done. Let's get this week started. One more thing, I do not want to have a long engagement. I'm not about that life. Jordan's not about that life. I gotta start taking care of myself because we need kids. We need a family, and I need to fit into my dream dress. So, amongst...
Okay, so then she goes on, she's like, I want to have kids. I want to have babies. You know, I'm like, okay, lady, like, are you aware that for like 6 months or something, you're not going to be able to drink the whole time while you're making while that baby is being created inside of you, you cannot drink, okay? So how are you going to not drink while you're pregnant if you're still continuing to drink and struggle drinking? Like, to me, it's like, it doesn't make sense that on one hand, she claims that she wants to face this, but it's like, she hasn't faced the reality yet that, like, lady, like, you're going to have to go through not a week, not a day, not any of that. You're going to have to go through a whole 6 months of no drinking. Like, I really am just like, start now, because I don't think this girl could stay sober for 6 months. Like, I don't know. I just think it's unrealistic to be like, I want to have kids, I want to make a baby, and then sit there and like you can't even quit drinking for a week. Like, that's insane to me.
I need to get that bod. I need to get that bod, okay? We got a lot going on right now. We got a lot going on.
Okay, so, sorry that I scared you.
Literally came into the room. I thought I was gonna die.
You might die of being a fan of this pan-seared chicken with a garlic herb.
I know whatever it is, I'm gonna love it. Oh my god. Oh my god! Did you just throw us together right now?
Yeah.
The actual recipe for real?
Yeah, I just made it up, yeah. Is it too lemony?
No, you gotta taste it yourself, but that thing is perfect.
If you guys want to know how to make this, go check out my Chicken 101 video right here.
Ayo. Wait, is that a chicken?
Yeah, it's a chicken.
Okay, so it's been like 5 days since I last spoke to you. Today is Saturday afternoon, my favorite day of the week, because Jordan and I just get to do whatever we want and not think about work. This week has been amazing, just really focusing on my mental health, like I talked about last time, not drinking and all of that. So like, this is kind of like a test for me today, because I don't care if this sounds like I have a major problem. I'm just being honest with you guys. The shades are going up right now. We're trying out a new restaurant this afternoon. It's like 3 o'clock right now. Typically before I would go to like a new place, because I have such bad social anxiety, I would have a drink before I leave, like not trying to get drunk or anything like that, but just like one shot is enough to...
Okay, so she's like, I just have one shot before I leave to like deal with my anxiety. I'm like, okay, you're an addict. If someone said to you, I need to smoke a cigarette before I go do something, that's addict behavior, right? Like, we know that. Like, we see that every day, like, people who smoke cigarettes. Like, of course you would consider them an addict, right? Because they're using that to cope with the situation. But yet, she's like, I don't care if this makes me seem like I have a serious problem. Like, yeah, it is a serious problem. Like, that's not normal. Like... And then she's like, I don't get drunk, so it's okay. And I'm like, that's false. If you're dependent on something to do something, you don't have to get wasted, right? Like, you don't get wasted smoking a cigarette, right? That's not the point of smoking a cigarette, okay? So it's like, if you have to do something to calm yourself down, that's addict behavior, regardless of like how much you drink, and also just as a medical thing, to be drinking all day, every day, all the time, every time you have anxiety. I mean, that is like not fucking okay, healthy, anything. That's just really fucked up. Like, I honestly don't know how this girl is gonna live a long life at the rate she's going, because she ain't going.
Like, the edge off, so I'm not like on edge and panicked. More than anything, I don't want it to be obvious to other people that I'm like anxious in public, which is so silly, because like I shouldn't try to hide that. If I'm anxious, I'm anxious. If I need to leave, I need to leave. I'm trying so hard to overcome that. So I'm gonna go try a new place we've never been to before, and I'm not going to try to self-medicate myself with anything. I'm just going, and if I get anxious, I get anxious, and we'll work through it, but just one step at a time. And it seems so silly to, I know, so many people, but to me it's very real, and the way social anxiety hits me can be very scary. So we're gonna enjoy our day. Let's go. We're at a place called Noble Crust. It's our first time. And all this man is talking about is Tom Brady. He just announced his retirement like an hour ago, and Jordan is unwell. Literally, it is the only thing he's talking about. I'm just waiting for him to cry. Look at him. He's got that look in his eyes like he's about to cry. It's there. Ugh.
What happened?
Well, we ate. That's a good thing.
First of all, this lighting looks great on you.
Thanks, baby. We ate. I have to touch up my lipstick. But then we were in the middle of like the main course, and I just got so anxious that we had to leave. So Jordan got the check, and like very quick in a panic, we had to leave.
All right, so I will say, I actually didn't notice this the first time that I watched this video, but that is really good and very supportive behavior. And I honestly really, I think that's great, because as someone who literally struggles to have Like, I will literally be out eating dinner with my family who knows about my social anxiety, and they won't even be willing to, like, leave early if I get anxious or whatever and I want to leave. Like, so to have a boyfriend who supports her and says, like, yeah, like, we're gonna leave and we're gonna go, and oh well, is incredibly amazing. So that's really great that she has someone who's willing to just be like, okay, like, you're anxious, whatever, let's leave the situation, not let's have a drink, not whatever, like, just let's leave and move on. And so what? Maybe we're in the middle of our dinner or whatever, like, oh, well, we're leaving. Like, and like, just, that's such a great thing that he supports her, because honestly, I really struggle with this. Like, my family is very, very supportive of me and my recovery, but that is one thing they struggle with, and we have just failed every single time. And at this point, I'm done. I'm done going to restaurants with them because it just fails every single time.
It's like out of nowhere, just got so anxious. Like I feel like everything became overstimulating out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden the music was so loud and the people around us were talking so loud. And I know it was just like in my head, but I was just like, I started getting like all sweaty and panicked. So
Yeah, it didn't help the food was like a 1-star.
the food was bottom tier. That's okay. On to the next challenge, off to the mall to go
some
find some tea.
Tea.
Okay, so we decided to come out and get ice cream. We recently got a Jenny's ice cream in Tampa, and we're obsessed. Jordan found a dairy-free one that he craves and cannot get enough of. But I wanted to update you guys. I feel like I've not been good at updating you. So at this point, it's been a solid 9 days of me cutting back on my drinking. I hate saying my drinking, but still.
Okay, I don't really know what she's proud of, because she's gonna say that she drank, so I'm like, so you didn't drink a lot. Like, okay, great, wonderful, congrats, welcome to normalcy. Like, I don't know what, like, I don't know. Like, that to me is, like, not kind of wrong to be like, oh yeah, I'm so awesome, I did this. I hardly drank for 9 days, but you did drink, so, like, what? I don't know. And also, like, this shouldn't be hard. Like, this is the thing. It's like, if you want to have kids, like, and you can't not drink at all for 9 days, like, oh my God, I really pray for you, because that is actually, like, disturbing.
Cutting back drinking and no longer using it as a medicine, no longer using it to self-medicate. I have not given into it, really. Well, I did once I took it.
So again, she's like, I haven't given into it, I haven't self-medicated. Oh yeah, but I did. I'm like, okay, so this is the point. This is why we have abstinence. This is why when you choose to recover from alcoholism and you choose to get help, you recover, right? You stop drinking, because your body, like, you can't just, oh, I'm gonna drink a little bit better, I'm not gonna give in, because what do? You give in. And I mean, if she's sitting there having difficulty not drinking for 9 days, like, you have a fucking alcohol problem. Like, I'm sorry, you do. Like, it's just, it's really, really sad.
I had a quick drink when I was super stressed out earlier today.
Yep.
So again, she's like, oh yeah, I had a drink when I was stressed. I'm like, okay, so this is the point. You obviously are not capable of controlling your drinking and limiting your drinking. Like, you need to just quit drinking entirely. And this is, like, scientific facts. This is, like, a known thing. Like, it's not possible to completely like, minimize your drink. Like, that's just not something that you can do. Alcoholics, there is one known cure, one known way to deal with it, and the method is not hoping that you will control your drinking one day. It's just quitting drinking, literally, entirely, the end. And that's it. And, oh well, that's your life. That's how it is.
First time in
Since a week and a half ago.
Yeah,
since like 9 or 10 days ago. But it's been really challenging, although it sounds so silly, and I know that a lot of people aren't going to understand this, but I know so many people will, because I personally know so many people who use alcohol for this exact purpose, not just to have fun, but to try to make them feel better because they're feeling stressed or anxious or whatever it may be. Also, I have tons of friends who use prescription drugs for the same thing. So I'm just wanting to be really open and transparent about it. It's been really hard, but I have to say.
So again, her excuse for doing stuff is that I'm normal, I'm fine, because I know people and friends who actively use drugs and they're fine and they're okay. Like, the fact that your friends are all addicts and alcoholics doesn't mean that you're not an addict and you're not an alcoholic. Like, that doesn't do anything to support your theory.
Coming it feels so good. I feel very proud of myself. Jordan's staying quiet, but he has been my biggest.
So again, she's like, I'm so proud of myself for drinking less. And I'm like, okay, you didn't quit drinking though. Like, you couldn't even not drink for a week. Like, I don't understand what you're proud of. Like, I get it. It's like, okay, you supposedly drink less, but like, you're not. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me for her to be proud. I really, as somebody who really struggles to not drink, like, or to not do any drugs, you know, whatever, like, it's really, really annoying to have people sit there and say, oh, congrats to me, I didn't drink, you know, I only drank for anxiety once today. And I'm like, oh, wow, congrats to me, I actually didn't drink. I can actually not drink, and I wish people would just be like, it's like, I understand she's proud, but it's like, there are actual people in this world who actually don't drink for a week, and they should be proud. And yet, she's like, oh, I'm so amazing because I drink less. Like, what? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, there are people who actually struggle to not drink and who actually don't drink and actually try every day, and that is their struggle. And she's acting like, ooh, I'm so great because I had 2 less shots today. Like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
He has been.
Give me an A. Let's be real. Like, let's call it what it is. Like, you have a really stressful career and you have somehow found a way to rely on alcohol to patch and band-aid your anxiety. And as your anxiety gets worse, the alcohol has gotten worse. And when it gets better.
So again, this indicates alcoholism. This does not indicate normalcy. Like, there's nothing normal about this. I think the idea that this is normal, this is what everyone does. No, it's not what everyone does. Everyone else drinks socially like a normal person, not like a crazy addicted person who uses alcohol like a fucking cigarette every 2 minutes.
The alcohol, you know, gets a little better. But at the end of the day, it's like, I've seen you kind of like try to like cut back and do the whole,
I'm not gonna drink right now. I'm done. Like, I'm so sick of it. Like, almost in like a manic way. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care how bad my anxiety is, and it never works.
And it'll last for a few days, and then like something really stressful will happen, or you know, you'll get sick, or whatever the case may be, and it's like you kind of like fall back into it.
Yeah, so this is the point. This is exactly why we have abstinence-based, you know, based therapy, and why it is recommended that you do not drink at all and that you stop drinking, because it is not possible for an alcoholic to control their drinking. This is the exact point. Like, I don't get what she doesn't get about this.
I will say, this is like the most success I've seen you have with it, and I feel like you, at this point, you're like this close to conquering it and just like totally getting.
Again, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm close to, he's like, I'm close, you're close to conquering it. I'm like, close to conquering it? You're not even conquering it. You're not even at level 1. I'm like, you're at like level 0.00001. Like, literally. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm like, are you insane? Like, you don't conquer it, first of all. You're always in recovery. You're always struggling not to use drugs every single day, okay? Like, you don't conquer it. It's not like a fucking piece of land, okay? Like, you don't conquer addiction. That doesn't work, okay? But, and also, like, if she keeps falling back to it, that doesn't show me that she's conquering it. That shows me she's not conquering it. So it's like, I don't even understand what this guy is saying.
And then just like reestablishing a healthy relationship with alcohol.
Because I have had a healthy relationship with my alcohol. With alcohol my entire life. This is a new thing that just started in the last couple of years.
Now, I have always questioned people who say, oh, I've always had a healthy relationship with alcohol. First of all, you can have a healthy relationship with alcohol your whole life and then become an alcoholic later. The fact that she didn't have a problem with alcohol before doesn't matter, but I do question people who say, oh, I never had a problem before, because a lot of times the people who self-medicate later in life, usually they were like crazy binge drinkers as, you know, young adults, teenagers, whatever. So, you know, they always abused alcohol. It's just now that they're an adult, it's becoming more obvious because, you know, they are an adult and they have more responsibility. And so I do question that, but again, I don't know her history of drinking, so I really have like no idea if that's true or not.
Before, when the whole lipstick thing happened, that was like really
For
the
sure.
spark where everything changed. Before that, I would just drink alcohol like a normal person. Like when the
So again, if you're using alcohol to deal with bad problems and issues, that indicates you have a problem with alcohol, not the opposite of that.
was proper, like
Yep.
let's go out and party, we're gonna drink tonight, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
like
And
socially.
then it turned into an everyday thing and relying on it. You know, any time of the day I had no rules. Like, oh, I'm anxious and it's 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna throw back a shot. Like, it just became
Okay, and this is ridiculous. This is literally where I want you, like, I can't even. Like, it gets me so mad. I'm like, you literally just said that you drink in the morning at 11 a.m. First of all, I'm thinking, I sure as hell hope you don't go off, take a few shots of something, and then go off and drive around during the day. I mean, I fucking hope not, because that really makes me angry. But besides that, I'm like, if you're drinking in the morning, I don't care what your damn excuse is, okay? If you are drinking in the morning, you are an alcoholic, you are an addict, you are dependent on, that is like so like beyond, that is ridiculous. Okay, the morning is the start of your day when you need to be like conscious and alive and awake and like ready to do your stuff, not relaxing after a long day of work. Completely different.
actual problem. And at one point I was like, I should I go to rehab? Like, do I need rehab? And everyone in my life was like, no, you do not.
Okay, so she's like, everyone in my life was like, no, you don't need to go to rehab. And I'm like, first of all, you just said all your friends are addicts and, you know, drug abusers and whatever. So yeah, they're probably not gonna know what's best for you. Second of all, I'm sorry, you're drinking in the morning and you think that you don't need to go to rehab. Like, you literally must be on drugs. To actually say that, you actually have to be on drugs. Because I don't understand how anyone could ever say that. And if you have friends who tell you, oh, you don't need to go to rehab, the fact that you fucking take a shot of liquor in the morning is completely normal, you need to get some other friends, because those friends are a piece of shit.
Habits, not at that point.
Yeah.
It's definitely not, I'm not over here like itching or even really craving a drink. It's not that. It's just I use it to make myself feel better when I get anxious, and I need to break that habit. So really working and focusing on anxiety has been a very big thing for me. And then of course I do crave it, but I just let the craving pass. And things like ice cream helps. And I don't care if little weight right now. I don't love that idea, but if it means I'm gonna get away from alcohol and end this relationship that I have with it, I don't really care if I put on a few pounds in the meantime, because I think that that's, it hasn't been easy, but it's good. And I realize the less that the stronger I'm being and the less I drink and the more I fight through and allow myself just to feel anxiety, the less I have anxiety this past week, which is crazy. This is the least.
This is a very interesting comment, because I have felt this too. I used to use alcohol a lot when I would feel really depressed and sad, and now I can say that even in situations where I would be like, gee, like a long time ago, I would really want to drink right now. And like, it's like, yes, I feel that feeling, but I also just kind of cry and I feel it and I understand it and I move on. And so that's really, really weird that she has that experience with her anxiety, is that it's kind of like you learn to not use the substance to deal with that. I don't know. It's very weird. It's hard to explain.
Have been in probably 3 years.
Well, that's incredible.
Honestly.
That's amazing. Since lipsticks?
Yes. since my lipsticks, yes.
It's amazing. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's you're talking about things that alter chemicals in your brain, right? So you're talking about, you know, all the stuff that you're feeling, and alcohol changes that, just like antidepressants, anti-anxiety, all this kind of stuff. So it's like
I'm feeling like, in the sense of like the past 2 days, I've been like walking into a room and I'm like, why did I walk in here?
Yeah.
Or like I put eggs or something in the microwave instead of the refrigerator. Like my brain is like adjusting.
Literally, you guys, one time I put orange juice in my cereal, and then the other time I put milk in like the cabinet. What this shows me is that her body is detoxing off of alcohol. Like, if you're having these symptoms just from detoxing off of alcohol, like, you're an alcoholic. And you know what alcoholics do? They completely quit drinking. Like, I don't know why she can't just admit. It just doesn't make sense. And also, saying you're not an addict but you're an alcoholic doesn't make sense, because an alcoholic is just a fancy term for someone with an alcohol addiction. Like, the way that we say, like, oh, like, you're addicted to cigarettes, you're addicted to meth, you're addicted to whatever, like heroin, like, we call those heroin addicts. But like, an alcoholic is just a fancy way of saying an alcohol addict. So to say that, oh, I'm not an addict but I'm an alcoholic, like, that literally doesn't make sense. It's like, it just doesn't.
To the fact that I'm not giving in.
Yeah.
And it's just a very
it's rebelling, you know, like at the end of the day, like these things, you know, they change the chemistry in our brain. You definitely have to exercise a lot of willpower, a lot of dedication.
So again, this is wrong, and this is just pure ignorance, and this really shows me that she does not have anyone in her life who knows anything about addiction. Or if they do, she certainly isn't listening to them, because everybody who knows about addiction knows it has nothing to do with willpower, because it is about your body and it's a disease, right? It's not about willpower, right? If you have a disease, if you have cancer, you can willpower away your cancer. It ain't going away, okay? Like, that's not how it works. Like, it's not about willpower, okay? It has nothing to do with your willpower. And so that is a huge myth in addiction, and I really don't appreciate him saying something like that. And then at the beginning of the video, her being like, oh, people are so ignorant. I'm like, no, you're ignorant. You don't know anything about addiction, and you're sitting there talking about how it has to do with willpower. Like, as though she has any willpower, because she doesn't have any willpower anyways. It's ridiculous.
You have to be strong, and this is the strongest I've seen you in since your lipsticks, and definitely the most motivated. Yeah, I'm just like really proud of you, honestly. At the end of the day, you're just doing it, you know. And it's like, I'm here, and like, I'll help you be distracted, you know, or get out of the house for a few hours. That way you don't feel like you need to sit on the couch and watch a movie and have a cocktail.
Which we've been getting out of the house every single day, and I'm such a homebody.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I gotta do stuff now. I have so much energy. I didn't realize what drinking was doing to me, honestly. I didn't realize how much it was hurting me. And it wasn't even like about getting drunk. It was just like drinking enough to ease anxiety, but therefore like put me like, you know, and now I'm like, I have so much to do. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
So her definition of like, oh, I just do it to like relax, not really to like feel anything, is the way that people use nicotine. It's the way that people are like, oh yeah, I don't really get a buzz or anything. I just use it to relax me, right? It's feeding that addiction. You're addicted to it. Like, I don't get it. Like, if it was a fucking cigarette, everyone would say you're addicted. But because it's alcohol, you're not. Like, you're addicted. Just face it. Like, I hate that she denies this and refuses to quit drinking, and then sits there and is proud of herself when she hasn't even quit drinking. I don't even get it.
Let's vacuum. Like, but it's good.
No, it's great.
He tells me nonstop how proud he is of me. This is like him saying it to you guys right now. Like, he tells me this constantly.
Every day. How many high fives and kisses and hugs and feet rubs have I given you?
Feet rubs, only one. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
What's going on, babe?
I'm not drinking. It's launch day.
If this is the result of you not drinking, then I'm all for it.
I like to keep myself busy because it's launch day, and typically on launch day, I have friends, family, employees come over for my launches just to celebrate. Everyone gets a sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
And typically we all have like champagne or cocktails or something, and I'm not doing that today, so I just have my favorites here. I left everyone else at the office. My My mom's busy holding a baby, and instead of drinking, I'm making snacks. So, which we are
Okay,
all...
so that is great that she's using cooking as a replacement to drinking, and that she's not having a party and she's not triggering herself. And I really appreciate that. I'm really glad that she has the confidence to do that and to do what she wants and to do what she knows is best for her. I do love to cook, but I don't know, for me, like, I don't find that activities really get my mind off of things. Like, it's more feelings and emotions than, like, sitting around doing nothing.
enjoy.
Love it.
They're all very supportive of me not drinking.
What's in there real quick
Makes it
since
easier.
it's Jaclyn's turn?
This is...
And that is another thing. You do want to hang out with people who are supportive of you and not drinking. Something I know a lot about, okay? If people in your life are forcing you to have parties and to drink with you, and they're like, no, we're not going to get together with you because you don't want to drink, like, leave those people. And unfortunately, in my life, 98% of the people in my life, when I decided to get sober, were very unsupportive and couldn't handle not drinking with me, around me, whatever. It sucks and it's horrible because people should support you. That shouldn't be something that people shit on you for.
This is Hawaiian sweet rolls with just a ton of seasoning, pepperoni, cheese, basil,
It's like some
garlic,
garlic.
oregano, parsley.
And what are you gonna do with that?
I'm gonna bake this bitch at 375. You think that's good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
I would just do until they're melted and golden brown.
My plan. Oh, bitch! Hi guys. Okay, so I have not recorded anything for this vlog for like a week and a half or so. Because I'm kind of taking my time with this since my main focus is still 100% alcohol. And last you saw, like, Jordan was talking about everything. And I have to say, you guys, cutting back on alcohol, because I haven't cut it out completely. I want you guys to be aware of that. Like, I have not gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm not drinking for the next 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or a year, whatever it may be. It's not like that. I am just allowing...
So again, the problem is with addiction is you can't limit yourself, right? If you're an addict, you're naturally going to use the drug to do whatever you did before, right? It's like saying, I'm going to go from smoking 2 packs a day to smoking 2 cigarettes a day. Like, it just doesn't work. It's not what you're used to. It just doesn't make sense. It's a process, and the process is you quit and you stop, and that's what you do. And sometimes you have to go to detox because it can be risky to quit drinking so quickly, which I did go to detox. I think the problem I have with it is if she is not willing to completely cut out drinking in her life, I would ask her why. And I understand she's going to say, well, I still want to use it for this. I still want to use it for that. But why? Why is it that you don't want to quit? Because to me, I don't see what's so bad about not drinking for a month and seeing what happens. Lots of people do that and then they go back and they do whatever they want to do, but they want to see what it's like not to drink for a month or whatever. And also, it's very deeply concerning because it's like, if you're going to have a kid, you need to be able to not drink for months. So you better, like, figure this out now, because when you're pregnant, I hope you're not figuring it out then, because you're gonna mess up your baby. Like, that's actually, like, what I'm most concerned about.
To drink in moderation when it's appropriate, and I'm not using it to self-medicate. You know what I'm saying? So at my engagement party, I had 3 drinks while I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an appropriate... Feeling anxious before a meeting on a Monday afternoon, not the appropriate time. You know what I'm saying? But you guys...
But that's the thing. It's like, if you feel that you need to drink for that, you need to go on medication, you need to go on something, you need to get help for that, and you certainly need to quit drinking. And you're not gonna do that by continuing to drink and not, and just using it and relapsing and going back and not, like, it's not gonna work.
Difference in the way I feel mentally is insane. And everybody that I know has been saying it. Like, my family, my brother, my sister, my parents, my employees, they've all been, especially this past week, like, geez, like, wow, like, you have so much more energy, you're so much more clear, you're more efficient, and it's just...
Okay, so one of the things that people say is, oh, I'm not an alcoholic, hasn't impacted my life. And I think she's a really good example of when alcohol has impacted your life. alcohol clearly has impacted her life. Because she's like, oh yeah, I would walk around in a haze and like I wouldn't really understand what was going on and whatever. And it's like, okay, I get it. I understand. But my point is, as a result of her alcoholism, she had the lipstick fiasco. And there are a bunch of other issues with some of her makeup products where she wasn't very inclusive to all skin tones. And to be honest, she never really addressed those things. Recently, her concealers were allegedly very dry and very hard to blend. And she didn't really address those issues again. So, once again, it's like you're not addressing your issues, right? You're not like, you're sitting in a fog and you're not listening to the people who are reviewing your products and looking at your products. And then when you go to the office, you're not doing the right thing. You're not paying attention. Like, that already is having an impact on her life. So I guess the message is just like, lady, why do you think you need to continue to drink ever? If that's the impact it's having on your life. Like, I don't know.
Because I guess I was like living in an alcohol-induced fog, you know? And I haven't even like done.
And I completely understand the whole alcohol-induced fog thing. I definitely lived in an alcohol-induced fog with my first boyfriend. I can honestly say that the amount of, like, I literally hardly remember that relationship. Like, he will tell me things, and I'll look at text messages that I'll send, and I'll be like, I have no idea when I said that to you, why I said, like, I don't even know. Like, so I can understand that. But again, it's like your body isn't going to fully detox until you fully detox and you remove alcohol from your body.
Blood work or like got on like supplements to help me through this. Like, I'm just doing it on my own, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like next on my list is to get blood work, see like where my levels are at as far as like hormones, serotonin, like all the things that alcohol takes away from you when you're drinking it, and get myself balanced. But I just gotta say right now, I feel freaking amazing. I'm like very motivated by the way I feel. Okay, so I'm gonna jump on here and close out this video. If you guys have made it this far, thank you for watching such an extremely difficult video for me to make, being so vulnerable and so real with not only you guys, but myself. I know this entire video has literally been just like FaceTime. Like, you haven't even seen me like out living my life. It's literally just been me, like different shots and different days and different outfits of me sitting here talking about the same thing, which is alcohol. But I just kind of want to update you with where I'm at. So it's interesting because it's been exactly 3 weeks yesterday since I decided to majorly cut back on alcohol. I say cut back because I have not completely quit, meaning like in the last 3 weeks, I have had some drinks, but I'm not drinking like I was. As you know, I've discussed this already. We don't need to keep going. But since I cut back so much on alcohol, I decided I'm not going to focus on my diet because that's not what's important right now. Like, cutting out the alcohol is so much more important. So I've been eating whatever I want, whenever I want. I've been craving sugar like you have no idea. And of course I know why. Like, I talked to my doctor and it's like, I was drinking so much more than I would even like to admit. And it turns into sugar in your body. So when I cut out the alcohol, you know, it's like...
So this makes sense, and I have had this experience when I quit drinking. I think I just drank a lot when I was hungry, but instead of actually eating, I would drink. And so I definitely relate to this 100%, absolutely relate.
I'm like, I want a Reese's. Like, I want an ice cream bar. And I let myself have it because I'm like, I'm not going to deprive myself of that too. You know, one step at a time. I'm being realistic here. The point of me saying this is I weighed myself today and I've lost 3.5 pounds in the last 3 weeks. And that's me eating so much junk all day, every day, not even trying to make healthy decisions. That's just me cutting out the alcohol, which is so crazy because it's just like goes to show how much denial I was in. Like, the inflammation that was in my blood work last year was so high, and I just...
Oh yeah, this is another thing. It's like she's talking about all these medical impacts of her drinking, and I'm like, and yet this isn't enough for you to completely quit drinking. Like, if this is how you feel now when you're drinking less, like, you're gonna feel so much better when you completely cut it out. And I don't know. I just don't think people get it. It's like, boo, if you're having fucking issues with your blood work now, at the age you are now because of your drinking, oh my God, I pray for you when you're older, because I don't understand how she thinks she's gonna continue and, like, it's fine. Like, And it's kind of like smoking. Like, you can't undo the damage done to your liver. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can't just say, like, okay, like, we're, like, oh, well, like, it's over.
I want to admit that it was alcohol. It was so much easier to change my diet and get my ass on the treadmill than it was to admit I have an alcohol problem. Oh my God, saying those words out loud.
It's like somehow she's gotten it into her head that, like, even though she has an alcohol problem, she doesn't have an alcohol problem. Because she's like, I have an alcohol problem, but I don't really have an alcohol problem because I'm going to continue to drink and hope that I will not drink for anxiety, even though that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm like, so how have you admitted that you have an alcohol problem? Like, if you're going to admit it and quit drinking. Stop doing the runaround.
It's just so not me. And I know that so many people say that too late into the game when, like, you know, they're drug addicts and they've, like, lost their jobs and their families to it. You know, like, this isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to be. And
So, again, she's like, oh, yeah, I haven't lost my job. I haven't lost my family. Haven't lost anyone. I'm like, okay, you literally lost probably, I don't know, you lost a ton of money from your lipsticks because you had to refund everyone, including the people who didn't complain, like myself. And you lost that. You've already lost subscribers. I mean, she's lost so much. She's fucked up so many things with her brand that she's just responded to by not addressing, which I think is ridiculous, but whatever. Like, for her to be like, I haven't hit rock bottom. I need to hit rock bottom. Oh, so you're basically saying you want to lose your family and lose whatever. Like, basically, it's like, to her, it's not a problem until she loses everything. And that's just wrong. Like, you shouldn't have to lose everything in your life to want to change. And then she's going to go on to say, oh, but I have changed and I haven't let myself hit rock bottom. I'm like, but you haven't changed. You're not doing anything to change. There is one way that we deal with alcoholism. It is called abstinence. That is what every good rehab center, every good therapist who knows about alcoholism knows. You quit. You don't somewhat quit, okay? You just don't. But yet she's like, oh no, I'm like helping myself. Like, no, you're not. Literally what's going to happen is the lipstick thing is going to happen again with some other product. And she's going to be right back to where she started because she's not doing anything. She's not facing the problem.
Thankful that I've caught this problem early because I've seen it destroy. I've personally seen it destroy lives firsthand. My best friend growing up, my father, and my best friend.
Okay, so first of all, red flag number one. If you're like, oh yeah, my father, whatever. I don't know if her father was an alcoholic or an addict. I really don't know. I'm guessing her father's not in her life right now. I don't know. But I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, my dad. I'm like, okay, let me give you a hint, boo-boo. If one of your parents is an addict and you too have problems with addiction, that should be a hint to you that you are an addict and you have a problem.
Being my husband, 3 different people I have dealt with firsthand being really bad addicts, and it's just it's not for me. So again, she's like, it's not for me. It's not my thing. Like, okay, this is not like, ooh, like, it's not for me. It's like an option. Like, no, like, this is what you are. Like, it's a disease. Like, it is or it isn't. Like, you have this disease. It's called addiction. It's addiction to alcohol. Whatever it may be, it is addiction. That's what it is called. Proud of myself that I've caught this early on in the game where I am able to stop this without needing.
Again, she's like, I'm able to stop this. I'm like, really? Because you haven't stopped. You haven't quit drinking. You haven't stopped it. And she's like, I'm stopping it from getting worse. But you're not doing anything. In fact, she's admitted that she's tried to cut down. And she still uses it to help her with anxiety. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why? My question to her is, if you're really not an addict, why is it so hard, to quit drinking for 60 days? Like, why is it a big deal to you?
Professional help in that sense, and without it being that difficult. It's hard for me to talk about this stuff. I'm sorry, you guys. But anyways, it's just crazy because if someone who like personally knew me 4 years ago was told like, oh, Jaclyn's gonna have an alcohol problem down the road, they would laugh in your face. Like, that's so not my personality. There's no way in hell that will never happen to her, you know? And yet it did, which is just so crazy. And it just goes to show, like, here on YouTube, like, I'm just keeping it lighthearted and this and that and whatever, you know, like trying to make you guys laugh and just being myself and being silly. Imagine this is just like straight vodka. I switched to bourbon. No, this is iced tea. But the whole time behind the scenes, here I am drinking myself to sleep every single night because I just felt so miserable internally. At this point, I just feel so good that I'm so motivated to continue this, to continue to not drink. And losing the 3 pounds is also just like crazy to see how much my body wanted me to stop drinking. And that's where the inflammation was coming from. And it's a very difficult and also very refreshing time of my life just to really be honest with everyone around me and vulnerable and meet up with my friends at dinner and say, you know, I'm not drinking with you tonight. I'm sorry, but this is the way it is. And, you know, some people who are super supportive, some people aren't that supportive. The majority of the people in my life are.
Okay, so she does mention that some people are not supportive. Obviously, she doesn't go into that very much. But definitely, boo-boo, remove the people in your life who are not supportive, okay? Just fucking scoop them out and dump them out. Like, really, really, really fucking remove them from your life, okay? Because the people who are not supportive of you are going to hurt you. And, you know, I really do regret, like, I would stay with people and I didn't want them to be out of my life. And it's really, really hard to remove them, but just remove them. They're not, you know, you have other people who want to support you. Don't hang out with people who are constantly telling you that you don't have an issue when you have a problem.
Supportive of it though, but just being honest, like, hey, I have an alcohol issue, so I'm not drinking with you tonight, period. Moving on, you know? It's difficult, but it's also so refreshing, rewarding to wake up feeling so good about myself internally, mentally. I'm gonna stop talking because I'm just rambling. But anyways, the next video, I will be showing you more of my actual life, okay? Let's start working out together. I have my at-home gym. I can't wait to show you that. It's almost completely done.
So this is the one part that I don't get is, on one hand, she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to focus on not drinking. And then she's like, okay, guys, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to focusing on my losing weight. And I'm like, what? Like, pick one.
Food and all that, all the changes I'm going to make. I cannot wait to be back here on Jaclyn's journey and also have this open conversation with you guys, not only about mental health, but physical health, and also the difficulties of not running to substance when you are feeling stressed out and not dealing with it like that, but overcoming it yourself. So I'm really excited to start this journey and have you guys be a part of it. And I will see you in my next video. Cheers.
All right, you guys. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little bit about me, just kind of relating to her and relating to her life. And I just want you to know, like, I really don't hate Jaclyn. Again, I love her cosmetics. I can relate to her, but I just don't appreciate her saying that she's an alcoholic, but she's not an addict and she's better than addicts, and acting as though she somehow conquered this like a project. Like, I wish she would just actually look into it and not say these things are just false. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will definitely be doing more to come. I don't know on what yet specifically, but definitely something. And maybe if Jaclyn Hill decides to make another video about her alcohol addiction or whatever, I'll probably do another video on it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye-bye.